'Tis the season for survival horror games. Fa la 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 la. Which ones do we pick?
That's a great question.
Guys, as collectors, you probably already know that survival horror games are kind of a mixed bag from a price point perspective, especially on the retro stuff. In today's episode, we're going to keep it modern. We're going to focus on the PlayStation 4. We're going to talk about awesome survival horror games that you can get under $15. What are we drinking?
Today we're drinking Pumpkin Spice Yeti by Great Divide. It's an imperial stout with coffee and spices.
Sounds delicious. You know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss an upload. And sit back, relax, pour yourself a beer if you care to, and let's dive into some cheap survival horror games on the PlayStation 4.
Hey, Sean from the Nerd Lair here, and you're watching Gaming Off the Grid. Now go away.
Survival horror fans, fret not. We are not here today to break your budget. We are not here today to talk about the top 5 or top 10 survival horror games, and then you go on eBay and you're looking them up and you're like, holy shit, $80 for a PS2 game? Not gonna happen here. Today we're gonna get you into some survival horror games on the PS4 that are all under $15.
And they're all really fun and really great games. Let's just jump into the list with the first game, Alien Isolation. This game goes for about $15 used, which is super cheap, and this is a fantastic movie turned into a game.
Yeah, so a lot of the pricing we're using here is what we're seeing on eBay and price charting. I think we got our copy for like $3 at a garage sale.
So you can get it cheap.
Now is the time to strike on PS4 and Xbox One games. We feel like you can find them kind of out in the wild just about everywhere. But back to your point, awesome game, awesome movie. If you're a fan of the movies, you're going to enjoy this a lot more.
Oh yes, dude, the visuals, the sounds, the way this game plays is just like the movie. It's a great adaptation of the movie.
Yeah.
I was blown away when I first started it. Visually, sound.
Yeah, and the atmosphere. They create a great atmosphere.
The atmosphere is great. And then like the alien guy, he just will randomly show up.
Yeah.
So it's creepy.
And they're unpredictable. That's kind of the jump scare aspect of the game that I think can't be understated. And you're kind of in a first-person perspective. Actually, not kind of, you are. But you won't see the same things twice, I guess, if you play through it, because the unpredictability of where they're going to be, when they're going to strike. Do you have to wait them out? Is it going to be somewhere where you have to run? We don't know. It all depends on your playthrough. This game's really cool. I think you can also get it, I think, on the PS3, but on the PS4, the game is prime.
Yeah, and a lot of these games are available on other platforms, and some of them are available on PC, but we're just focusing on the PS4 because that's what we have them for.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next game that is on a lot of consoles. It's even on the Switch.
Yeah.
And that is Friday the 13th. This game goes for about $12.
Yeah.
Which is super cheap, especially this time of year. Such a great online game. I know there's a lot of glitches and clunkiness to it.
Yeah.
But it's still really fun to get on with friends and play Friday the 13th.
This is one of those games where the fun factor trumps everything else.
Everything else, yeah.
So there are so many games that like maybe aren't critically acclaimed or maybe, they've got bugs. They don't even maybe look like they belong in the generation they're in. Like, I kind of feel like Friday the 13th could have been pulled off on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Yeah, it looks like
But all that aside, this game is so much fun, and it's odd because Gaming Off the Grid. We got the name because we don't play games online very much. We like playing games in person. That being said, we've got a bunch of friends in the YouTube community that are dialed into this game, so we're like, we got to try it out, and holy shit.
Dude, if you can fill a lobby with all your friends, all 8 people, and someone's freaking Jason, it is... I love being Jason with a lobby full of people just to make noises, man. It's such a fun game, and for $12, it might even be cheaper digital. But that's great.
It is, and like if you're a fan again of Friday the 13th, this game's gonna strike you and stroke you in so many different ways because there's different outfits for Jason that fit maybe the era that you're looking for.
8-bit.
He even has the 8-bit,
which is so cool.
NES colorway. You can unlock that. The game is just scary. It feels like, at times, like, you think you're winning, but Jason can get you in an instant.
He can travel so quick.
Yeah, it's such an awesome game to play with friends, as you already mentioned, and it's on the cheap. It's one of those games that really iterates that fun factor is really all that matters. Because from a technical standpoint,
it's a little rough.
It's clunky at best, but It's so much fun.
So much fun. And let's move on to 2 games that are not clunky, really smooth, visually beautiful, and they go for about $10 a piece. Evil Within 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. If you want to talk about scary...
Yeah.
And for $10 a piece?
Yeah, these games are...
This game would last you the entire month.
If you're into the survival horror genre from like yesteryear, maybe if you kind of jumped off around the PS2 era, I think these games would be a great re-entry into modern gaming for you. Because a lot of the resource management, the controls, they're like modern version of tanky controls, if that makes any sense.
So they're not quite tanky, but yeah.
But the games, they're just amazing. There's great odes, I feel like, to that style that some people love, some people hate. If you played those games in that era, though, there's always that thing that you kind of enjoyed. Like, I kind of like being restricted because it makes things more scary,
it makes it more
eerie,
stressful,
and it's kind of a more patient approach to the horror experience. Evil Within 1 and 2 must plays on the cheap. These games, we're finding them at thrift stores.
They're everywhere.
Garage sales. Everybody's just kind of saying, hey, whatever, we beat the game, we're done with it. You gotta play these.
You gotta play them. And speaking of those slower paced, kind of tanky controls, let's move on to Resident Evil 2, the remake. We're not mentioning 3 because 3 just came out and it is expensive. It's going for about $35. So if you want to spend the money, 3 is an option.
It is.
But 2 is going for $15.
And I think if you wait till like 2021, maybe, if we film something like this, maybe 3 will be an option.
Yeah, it would probably drop.
But on the cheap, it's not. Yeah. So Resident Evil 2, the remake, really nailed it. I think it did a better job of nailing it than Res 3 did for Res 3, if that makes any sense.
I think they built Res 3 off the Res 2 engine, and they just waited a couple years to put it out. But Res 2, man, what a fantastic remake of an awesome survival horror game. I was addicted. I could not stop playing it. It's so good. The resource management, the visuals, just what a great game. And it's $15, guys. It came out, what, last year?
Yeah. Well, a lot of these games, they just drop in value so fast. But Res 2, the remake, everything you loved about Res 2 is still intact, and it just brought it to the modern era. Yep. It's a must-play game if you're a Resident Evil fan, and in particular a fan of Resident Evil 2, which parlays into the next game that we want to talk about, which is Resident Evil Biohazard, or Resident Evil 7.
And this game goes for about $10 on average, which is even cheaper than Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of Resident Evil at all, you gotta give Biohazard a chance.
Yeah.
You gotta play it. It's just a great game to play during this time of year.
We grabbed it at a thrift store. I think it was $3. We picked it up for. The game also has a VR component, which we don't have VR.
No, but
I've played it in VR.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's unreal.
That sounds terrifying, dude.
I can't do VR for very long because I start feeling nauseous just because I've got some motion sickness issues. But it was an experience nonetheless, like lifting up the motion sensors and looking at the gun and all that. But the atmosphere of the game, this is kind of a recentering, if you will, I feel like, for Capcom. This game felt so much more in the Resident Evil realm than maybe even 5 or 6, which we love 5.
Because of the co-op aspect.
Yeah. But as standalone games, 5 and 6 are a little goofy. As co-op games are amazing, but this game kind of brings it back to kind of where you want Resident Evil to be. And again, it's on the cheap. I think you can get Biohazard for like $10 anywhere.
Super
pretty
cheap.
much. And cheaper if you go out and actually hunt for it.
Which is awesome. Now let's move on to a game that kind of takes place back in the day.
Yeah.
Kind of back when they used to print things on ink machines. Bendy and the Ink Machine. This game goes for about $12 on average.
Yeah.
You can find it cheaper than that, obviously, out in the wild. This game, I love the style and the artwork. It could have been done better. It could have.
Kind of goes back to a Walt Disney early years type of art style. Almost kind of in some of the art style reminds me a little bit of BioShock.
Ooh.
But this game has its flaws. It's by no means a perfect game, but I do think this game, from an artistic standpoint in the direction, is worth a play for sure. And I feel like now's the time to pick this up because I know on PS4 for a while it was like a GameStop exclusive release. So the fact that it's only $12, I feel like somewhere down the line,
it's going to start getting more
It's
rare.
going to be a game that, if you want a physical copy anyways, it's going to cost you.
And it's creepy because you'll think you'll see something move and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, it gets that heart.
And then those like little cardboard cutouts that like
that pop behind the corner.
And then you like come back. The game just, again, it's a little bit of a confused game. And it's a game when you finish it, you're going to be like, wow, that was so good. But I wish they would have maybe done this.
But it's still, for $12, it's a great game to get in the mood for Halloween in October.
And if you're into the classic cartoon, like art direction, I think this game, you're just, from a visual standpoint, you're going to love it.
You're going to love it. let's move on to another game that is more story-based, more driven, more butterfly effective.
And it's a PS4 exclusive.
Yeah. Ooh, is it really?
Yeah.
This game goes for about $9. Less than $10, guys.
Yep.
And what's crazy is there is insane replay value for this game because you want to keep everyone alive, and that is Until Dawn. What a fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's all about just making decisions on the fly and going through the story, and what you pick at the beginning affects how the end of the game is.
Yeah.
So,
this game is very much in the vein of Heavy Rain, those interactive action adventures where it's more of a story-based game than you actually playing all the time, but your decisions matter. It's a lot of button sequencing to determine what's going to happen. And I think this is one of the best party type of PS4 games. It's a single player experience, but it's so fun to play with 2 or 3 friends.
Well, it's fun to play with a group of people, and you're like, dude, what do we do? What do we pick? What we decide is going to affect the end of the story. And the goal is to keep everyone alive, which is super hard. You have to be on point. To be honest, we've never done that. We've never kept everyone alive.
No, but we beat the game last year, and this was a game that falls into that weird category where I would rather, why I think it's a party game, is I would rather watch it than play it.
Yes.
If that makes any sense. Like, I would love the moments where you were playing, and I could kind of help guide you based off things I saw that maybe you didn't as you were playing.
And also, we beat it once, and I'm frustrated because they give you information that you need to know to survive certain things, and I don't want to give away too much, but I'm frustrated because I knew the information that I needed to know, and I got my character killed because I picked the wrong answer, and as soon as I clicked the answer, I was like, you're an idiot, she's dead.
Yeah.
So that's how this game is. It's awesome. It's so much fun. Just the replay value is insane.
Yeah.
The visuals, it's awesome. It's its own unique entity.
And it was, I think we got ours for free. It was one of those PS Plus free
digital
monthly
downloads,
games. So you may have been, one of those people that, like, I download those every month, but I don't get around to playing all the games available every month. Maybe this is already sitting on your PS4 and you just didn't give it a go, and it's maybe about that time to hit on it and get after it.
Highly recommend it. Okay, we got one more game to talk about, but let's talk about this beer. This is the Pumpkin Spice Yeti by Great Divide. It's an imperial stout with coffee and spices. So Great Divide has just the Yeti.
Yeah, so if you're a stout fan, you've probably seen just the Yeti out and about.
This is the October variant, the pumpkin spice variant.
Yep.
What do you think?
I really like this beer. So I like the Yeti. I think last year maybe we had the S'mores Yeti, and I wasn't such a fan of that.
Yeah, s'mores is a weird flavor to put in beer.
It is, and I like it when they do it right, but it's so easy to get it wrong, if that makes any sense. So this one we picked up because we've seen it, and one of these cans go for like $12 to $14.
Expensive beers.
So it's definitely a beer that you want to split with a friend and kind of sip on. But as a pumpkin beer, as a seasonal beer, I mean, this screams October. Yeah. I think this is a very good offering, and up against the Yeti, which I think is a very serviceable stout, I think they got this right.
And if you're worried about that pumpkin taste, I don't think the pumpkin spice is super aggressive. It's in there as an accent flavor, and it's like, oh, this is October. This is an October stout, but it's not too aggressive.
And a lot of nutmeg and like a breadiness on the finish. So it's not like pumpkin forward. I would say it's sprinkled in there, like you said, but with a lot of nutmeg.
A nice balance. This is a really good stout, a really good pumpkin beer, a really good October beer, and it's less than $15, which is like all the games on this list.
Yeah, so you got to try this beer. If you see it out in the wild, which it should be probably at most of your bottle shops in your area, which is unique because we cover a lot of regional stuff on the channel. So this is one you probably can go out and grab.
Which is awesome. And speaking of that, most people should be able to grab this game. Most of you have probably played this game. And that is The Last of Us. Yeah. So the first one goes for about $9. I know the second one just came out, and we were going to talk about that, but it just came out this year, so that one goes for about $35 as well. The first game goes for about $9. According to PriceCharter.com, what a fantastic survival horror game, resource management, beautiful story. Yeah. If you haven't played The Last of Us, what are you doing with your life? I played it recently, like 2 years ago for the first time, and it changed my life. Yeah. Like, I wanted to be Joel. It's amazing. I wanted to be Joel.
In the survival horror realm, in the cinematic experience, it's hard to get better than the first Last of Us. We haven't finished off the second one yet. Shame on us, but we just haven't had time. But the first one, it's a perfect game, and Naughty Dog at its finest.
Yeah.
And if you're wanting to get it even cheaper than this, you can actually play it on the PS3, which is the cheapest way to go.
You can find it at garage sales for like $1 probably,
Yeah.
and it's the same game.
Yeah.
It's just remastered on the PS4.
Yeah.
Highly recommend The Last of Us. Most people have played it. Everyone knows that has played it. One of the best games ever made. They set a standard for how games like this should be.
Yeah.
Everything about this game is perfect, and I love it. And it's so cheap.
And I
guys.
love the combat system in the game. Like, I feel like it's not one of those games
the way
where
you craft weapons.
like, oh my god, this game was epic, but I don't like the shooting. No, I love the shooting in this game. You know, or I don't like the attack
the
mechanisms.
bow and arrow.
Yeah, and like even the melee attacks, you feel like you're just like motherfucker, boom! It's just like it's
and the
so
way you
good.
can like customize your melee to make it stronger, like putting nails and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh. If you're a fan of The Walking Dead and you haven't played The Last of Us, it's basically The Walking Dead in video game shape form. Dude, it's so good.
It's a fantastic game. It's a must play. And there's tons of other games on the PS4 that fall into this category that are under $15. I think of like Days Gone, just a lot of other games we've never got around to playing.
Yes.
So what we focused on here, though, was games we've actually played and games we actually own in our collection.
And that are under $15, which
Yeah.
is super important because survival horror games are getting expensive.
Yeah, you know, we've this season as we're like drumming up ideas for what we're going to cover in October. So many of the consoles, we've got the games. But it's like, man, if we do a survival horror PS2 episode, we're going to cost these people $100 a game.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2 we're playing right now on live stream. That can go for $80.
Yeah,
it's a great game.
It's
but
getting
still
like I love Silent Hill 2, one of my favorite survival horror games ever.
That's ridiculous.
I can't recommend anybody spend $80 for it.
No,
I mean,
that's
you gotta,
more than a new game.
Those are the type of games I feel like you got to wait till you find it at a thrift store or a garage sale, or you just don't add it to your collection.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it's at, because I'm never going to spend that for an old game. I'm just not going to do it. Same thing, even we were looking at some Wii stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that stuff's starting to climb as well. So I think if you're looking to build a quick collection on the cheap, I think the modern consoles are really the way to go.
Yes.
And the PS4's got some dingers for under $15.
Dude, and what's cool about survival horror games is they're long. So you could pick up a couple of these less than $50.
Yeah.
And this would last you the entire month, which is badass.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we always appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. In the comment section below, hit us up. Let us know, what are you playing this October?
Yes.
We would love to know. We'll see you next time right here on Gaming Off the Grid.
I look like fucking Don Flamingo after he's been beat to shit.
At least you don't feel like him.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I don't feel like him at all.
I love it. It's if you're a fan of The Walking Dead or any of those types of shows, Walking Dead's the only one.
And I think some of these are on Xbox One, but you have modern consoles. Today we're going to talk about
9.
Guys, we always appreciate you tuning in, subscribing to the channel. In the comment select...
Dude, that's funny. Look at my mouth. Dude. I look like a boat. I don't know what I look like. I look like a mouth, one of them contra mouths.
What a contra mouse.
Super sea mouths.
And that are on 50. And that are on. And that are on. I can't say 100.
It's one of those games that it's one of those games that you can never loot. It's one of those games that you can. It's one of those games that